How's it going, everybody? How's it going? We're going live a little bit earlier here, and we're going to go live, should be later as well. Give people a second to get in here before I start. There we go. There's some people coming in here. You saw today news that, we put out a spring transfer 2024 watch list on Monday. And at that point, LSU was at 87 roster spots. We predicted on that list. Let's just go to present and share this screen real quick. On this watch list, we had Ryan Yaites. We really didn't want him to transfer, but there was kind of like a crossroads there, and it didn't seem like he would leave, right? And he's now transferring because he has those options that make, roughing it at LSU not the only thing he would have, his only choice he could make. He's got a lot of other choices. Oklahoma, Ohio State, Notre Dame. And it really sucks to see Ryan Yaites leave. Really sucks. Really sucks even more that we basically processed him. And that's something that really just kind of sticks in my craw, because that's a dude who could play a few different positions. And I think just because of the rise of Kylan Jackson doesn't mean you get rid of someone like Ryan Yaites. Because Kylan Jackson dealt with injuries all last season. Some may say Ryan Yaites wouldn't have even been in that spot if Kylan wasn't hurt. Well, I don't know about that, because Ryan could play a few different spots. And Kylan Jackson, as great as he is, Ryan Yaites is unbelievable football IQ. Maybe his biggest problem was that he played with a little bit of hesitation. And if he had shown that aggression, I think he could have won over the coaches a lot more. That's just me. And it sucks to see him go so soon as well, but and he was really being set up to be that backup star as well. So very, very strange to see him go so quickly, so soon. We also, people are probably going to think this is unthinkable. We got Shelton Sampson Jr. on our list. Where we said, we think probably going to take a lot more for him to leave. Then we had Christian Braithwaite. And, of course, he has entered the transfer portal as well. Just a linebacker who just never got any chances, really. Matthew Langlois, we could have really put this at a 10, but out of respect, I put it at a 9, because this is a young man who came into LSU having a lot of, exciting athleticism to him. Defensively, special teams, you just wanted to see where could this kid develop? What could be possible here? And Langlois never had a chance. Like the second he came on, I swear, I think it was spring 2021, early freshman, he got hurt. Could be wrong on the timing of that, but I know it was in his first season. Landon Ibieta, we've also got on the list. He hasn't made it official yet. Connor Gilbreth has made it official as well. Tight end. Jeremiah Hughes made it official today that he would be transferring from the program. And once again, this is a dude who had an awesome family that LSU Nation just seemed to love. His mom, Nikki, his dad, Alonzo, and Jeremiah himself. Always just the love of LSU from people, from my neck of the woods, from Vegas. It was very cool to see LSU recruiting that far out, but then at the same time, you think about it in another way. Yes, it's cool to see LSU expand the base, the brand, expand the recruiting zone, but at the same time, as great of a school as Bishop Gorman is, the talents they put out there, you have to be a different player to play at LSU. I'm not saying Jeremiah Hughes wasn't that player. I'm just saying that to succeed at LSU it's not like the same way you have to be to succeed at Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have something about you that is just some nastiness, some aggression, no, man, it's going to be me who's going to win this battle, not you. And I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to let you know. Like that type of intensity. And some kids either have it, some kids don't. I'm not saying Jeremiah Hughes had it or not. I'm saying LSU recognized this is a guy who's probably fifth on the depth chart, sixth on the depth chart corner. He's playing special teams, played special teams pretty well, making some pretty high impact plays. But because of just where Robert Steeples saw him on the roster, and now Corey Raymond, they're basically seeing him the same on the roster. Jeremiah's just got to get out of LSU, find some playing time, and go somewhere where he can be successful, because it hasn't been at LSU. Maybe if he hung in there another year, maybe things change. Maybe things change by fall with a bunch of injuries. You never know in college football, but with a transfer portal now possible, kids are less likely to take that gamble, because that gamble, it's time, and you are never going to get that back. And I'm glad that the people advising a lot of these kids have said, hey, time. You cannot get back time. Transfer. Go play football. There's some guys who weren't really cut out for LSU. And it's tough. It's tough because you want to see these guys succeed at LSU. Jeremiah Hughes. You love his family. Love his family. His mom, Nikki's, always posting the coolest stuff. But, as competition was undertaken, he fell down that list. You know what I'm saying? Our man Cole Adams watching. What's up, Cole? How you doing, brother? And, maybe we let's see what Lewis said. Oh, this is Jamer. Jamer says on the article, I would hate to see any of these guys leave, but I understand why they would. They're all great kids who just want to play like every other player on the team. Of course, there's a reason why you practice. There's a reason why you work so hard. You play full on when you're just playing special teams. It's because you want to go out there and one day be that dude, It's quite obvious. That's why they do this. And Jamer is 100% correct. That's why this is done. And it's sad to see kids leave that you care about, and you think, this is a really good kid. This is a really great family. He's got the talent. He's got the this, everything's working out. And then you just see over time, maybe things aren't going to work out like we thought. There's sometimes where you can see the writing on the wall. There's somewhere you can't. Ryan Yates was one where I'm a big fan of Ryan Yates, and I love talking to his dad. I love talking to him. Two of the coolest people on the team. They are hilarious. They are down to earth. They have high character. I mean, the way Ryan's father has raised his son is incredible, and the way that they communicate is on another level. And you'll be mistaken if you think just because they've left LSU that I'm not going to be following him and rooting for him and still keeping in contact if they'll want me to. And it's because of the people, who they are. Um, Ryan Yates is a great kid. I mean, he gave this interviewer a shot at a time when a lot of people weren't. This was back in early 2022, January 2022, around the time where Ryan Yates was close to popping on that commitment. And we had gotten to know Ryan Yates really well. He gave us a few interviews before the commitment. He told us about the commitment. He let us in on the commitment. He let us get an interview, a commitment interview together, so that the second he was, announcing, we're pressing send on that. It's like just like On3, just like 247, and we had only had that experience a few other times, and so to get that experience because of Ryan Yates was incredible, and it was like, wow, this kid really looked out for me here, and he wanted me to be a part of this thing. Like, this isn't what a great kid, and it's like we really, really needed that at that time. Really needed to kind of get connected with the new roster, the new kids. And Ryan Yates, it was like that's the guy that everyone's gravitating towards. The Weeks brothers love him. All the defensive guys were hanging out with him constantly. Some of the offensive guys. Ryan Yates was a big time, like one of the funniest guys in the locker room, from what I've heard from multiple people. That's not Ryan saying I'm the funniest guy. Like, that's people talking about Ryan when he's not there, and it's always just been good. His dad is one of the coolest people. Like, I love talking to his dad. His dad just cracks me up, and you can be real as hell with him. You can be harshly real, and he can be real right back to you. And I love that type of relationship. And I'm just really sad that that family has left, because it's not just Ryan who's leaving, and I feel like there was so much left unsaid on the football field from Ryan. He had that big pass breakup against Ole Miss on a 4th and 2, one of our only stops in the game. You felt like LSU was going to win because of it. Obviously, one of the only few times we could not score a touchdown that game, we could not, and it was all for naught, and that game kind of blew up in our face. The contribution was kind of forgotten. But the point is that Ryan, I feel like there was so much unfinished on the field because Kerry Cooks, stupidly, I'll just say it. I love you, Kerry. I love you, Coach. But I think it was very stupid. It was ill-advised to stick with Major Burns and Andre Sam over and over and over. Those guys were missing tackles left and right and center, and I feel like it was almost like to spite everyone that you kept playing them. I mean, it's something I say to his face. I'm saying it right here. There's no worries about that. I feel like it was absolutely reckless, and I feel like it hurt the team because not only were those guys not the best two safeties back there, but there was guys who were playing out of position, like Sage Ryan or Ryan Yates playing at nickel as well. Both those guys playing backup nickel. Those two guys could have been playing safety and probably had better results than what we saw from Burns and Sam. I really think you would have seen better results. And when you didn't see those guys play there, you come into spring this season, they haven't had much playing time in their natural spot. They're just kind of moved around place to place to place. We are lucky Sage Ryan changed his mind. We are lucky that Ryan Yates even stayed through spring. But he's gone now. luckily Sage Ryan changed his damn mind, and we rewarded him by playing him in his natural position, which is what you got to do. You got to do these type of things. And obviously, if they can't play the position well at all, then we'll go cross that bridge when we come to it. But that was not the case with Sage Ryan so far. With Ryan Yates, I feel like that's a player of all the guys who've left so far. This is a player who I feel like we just missed out on. I feel like we just really did not. I feel like we just didn't do due diligence by him. Whoa, 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 whoa! In the comments section, Ryan Yates is actually watching this. Holy crap, Ryan Yates! I love you too, man. Like this is a tough day because I don't know. I never expected you to leave LSU. I never expected LSU to push you out. I never expected this to get to this level. I never expected LSU to find themselves in this kind of roster situation where they had too many bodies and wanting some transfers to come in, and we're gonna have to make some difficult decisions. We're gonna have to make some cuts we don't want to simply because of numbers. I feel like that's bad roster management there. Once again, I'm absolutely humbled Ryan Yates is watching that. It's awesome. Absolute love to you and your dad, your whole family. I hate days like these. Unfortunately, since the portal's been open and since we love talking to LSU Tigers and their families, this situation has become all too common. But it was absolutely riveting, absolutely awesome to see you in an LSU Tiger uniform, and you're a Tiger forever, man. Like, once you've played at LSU, once you've been a Tiger, in my book, you're a Tiger forever. That's how I roll. I'm not the whole like, hey, you transferred. This is a great betrayal. Like I'm like, and then when people transfer to LSU, we're like, yeah, like so hypocritical. But no, I've never viewed it that way. And in fact, some of the people I talk to the most outside of guys on the roster, families on the roster, have been people who've transferred. Because obviously they were once on the roster. I got way tight with them, way close to their family, and for some crazy reason, they still wanted this hipster nutso to still be in contact with them, which is surreal. But like Jack Besh's family. Jack Besh was a freshman at LSU, scoring against Alabama, making Auburn pay the price, taking Ole Miss to task. Jack Besh led the team in receptions as a freshman, was a rock star, really. Like, anyone can say whatever they want, but let's be realists. We can go back and look at the tape. Everyone wanted to hang out with Jack Besh. Everyone wanted to interview that kid. Everyone wanted to be seen with him and see like he was, like you were in favor with him. Like he was such a stud and such a star. Walking around with Jack Besh at LSU Ops, I felt like I had just joined the Beatles. Like, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, truly. Like, it felt like I could have gotten laid on sight just hanging out with Jack Besh. And I'm the ugliest bastard in the world. And it was epic. And I feel like it's sad to see some of these guys go. And Ryan Yates is the Jeremiah Hughes. Just then another in the long line of transfers out of LSU in the last 4 years since it started, since the waivers started to be granted in 2020 and all that. And I would rather LSU not have so many departures year to year. I feel like that is that's a bad thing. Someone just said this. Why don't get rid of Austin Osbury instead of Yates? Thank you, Louis Cepeda. Thank you. And you know why they didn't? You know why they didn't? Because Austin Osbury was processed from Auburn. So Daddy came to help, even though he didn't want Daddy's help originally and didn't want any part of LSU. Goes to Auburn, out of state, doesn't want to follow in Daddy's path, but now wants Daddy's help. Daddy gets him a scholarship back to LSU. Yeah, he had some plays in the spring game. Okay, he's not Ryan Yates. He doesn't have even close to the football IQ. And yes, maybe Ryan played a little too hesitant. Maybe he was a little worried about making mistakes, and I would have been too. Because you see what happens. Oh, you didn't get 3 interceptions in a game. You didn't, get 15 tackles. Well, you're not one of the Louisiana guys. We might have to process you. It's become a little ridiculous sometimes with the roster mismanagement by what we've done, where before we had nobody, and that was Coach O's fault. And now we have too many people where we've had to really get rid of some people, some players we should have never been getting rid of in the first place. Ryan Yates being one of them. I'm not going to lose sleep on some of the other guys losing scholarships, because I know personally that some of the other guys on this list who lost their scholarships didn't quite care about giving everything and wanting to be that next dude. Ryan always did. Ryan always gave everything full on, 100%. And the dude could play 3 different positions at the back, 4 different positions at the back. You could put him at both safety positions. You could play him at nickel. He played a ton of corner in playoff games for Geyer, Denton Geyer, his school there in Texas. And sometimes I feel we give a little too much love to Louisiana guys and we kind of let that blind us. Just go with the best player. It doesn't always have to be a Louisiana guy. If it's between a guy who's from Louisiana, Austin Osbury, or Ryan Yates, why is this even a question? It's always about nepotism here. Austin Osbury has a scholarship because of nepotism, because his father works in the athletic department and is a LSU former player. Say what's up, Seiji. He thinks he can push on the screen and something's going to happen. That's so cool to see Ryan Yates post on this thing. I don't know if he's still watching, but that's cool. I think that shows what type of kid he is. I'm just some dude who did a few interviews with him and stayed tight with his family and stuff. But when you are a player, and I never played at the collegiate level, but I have intensely close family members who did, and I've seen from behind the scenes for years with college and high school football and recruiting and all that stuff. When you have a reporter who actually gets to know your family and actually stays in contact with them for years, that is how it used to be. That doesn't happen anymore. Do you want me to tell you how On3 are breaking all of this transfer news? Do you want me to tell you the real dope? Everybody listening right now, do you want me to tell you how On3 breaks their transfer news? How Go 24/7, Matt Zenitz, breaks their transfer portal news? Do you want to know? Do you want to know the realities of how these big sites actually break their news when it comes to transfer portals? I'm about to burn some bridges here, but I think this needs to be pointed out, because relationships in college football is something that has been completely just thrown out instead for marketing and online gambling sales and all this other bullshit. When you get rid of the relationships that really matter and make this game what it is, on the field, off the field, you start making what is in this what makes the game special. You start making a toxic, corrosive weapon. And it's always utilized against the kids. It's never the adults, never the coaches who have to carry that bag, carry that weight. It's always the kids left holding in the dust, holding on to literally like the dying embers of the dream that they had, left in the wake of that type of stuff. But really, if you want to know, it's not because Pete Nakos and Matt Zenitz are just so loved by all these players and talk to all these players and get all the deets from these kids who they're just so connected with. They have access to the NCAA transfer portal list, so they just see the names come in, and then it's just like shooting ducks in a barrel. Like all you have to do is type. Someone on three is probably going to kill me for revealing that. I don't care. Because we have been doing more with the relationships game, actually developing real relationships with players, families, coaches, and we've done it better than you. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. And guys like Shea Dixon are the cream of the crop. Sam Spiegelman are the cream of the crop. You're lucky you've got those guys. Because, just posting from a transfer portal list isn't really going to cut it. It's going to, at the end of the day, this type of distance from the actual, the people who actually keep this machine running, the players themselves, the families, when you keep ignoring them, act like they don't matter, act like they're pieces of tradable meat, then the whole thing gets corrosive and toxic, as I just said. Cole Adams says, House made those guys play in fear last year, not on Yaites. Nope. That was a terrible defense, and I feel so bad that is Ryan Yaites' experience at LSU. I feel terrible that that's his experience at LSU, playing on a defense that was unforgivable. Unforgivable is the word. Historically poor, legendarily, just lukewarm, whatever you want to say, big pile of shit. For me, just disgraceful, disgusting. These words all work, but when I look at who was on that defense, I shudder because it's like that could have been a top 10 defense. We had no injuries to speak of. Just a little tweaking here and there, completely get rid of House's system, and then just like have the guys play man on the outside, very simple, very basic, straight up, and then either 3-4, 4-3 up front, whatever you want to do. You can mix it up. I don't care. But do it to take advantage of the matchups up front because you have the wins up there, right? When you got Mason Smith, Micaiah Wingo in the inside, Braden Swinson, Deshaun Womack. And that's another problem. Matt House is just playing Ovio Gofu over Braden Swinson. Braden Swinson would get like 25 snaps. So you look at the decisions House made, and it's cost some of these kids to transfer. Like it's cost them for their freshman season. They didn't have the chance to make enough plays because they didn't have enough reps. And so a guy like Christian Braithwaite, a dude like Ryan Yaites. Like Ryan Yaites is the one, I mean, like let's be real here. Like he's the most talented out of anyone who has transferred. He is the most like ready to play of anyone who transferred. That's not to rip on anybody, but that was just the case. That was the truth. I'm sure there's a lot of fans who are kind of sad. Oh, he's leaving. What the heck? I like that player. I like that kid. And I thought, he's a guy for the future. But he also could have been a guy for the now. And I just think we never really were going to find that out because we are obsessed with Major Burns. We think we can make Major Burns into a star and play the star position. And he looked okay in spring doing it, He made some plays doing it. I don't know. I just hope we're making the right moves here when you process a guy like that. I think it would have been smarter to let go of someone else like Austin Osbury, who is only on the roster because you know why. I don't have to say why. You know why. Cole Adams said Yates was a really good natural safety. Yeah, he was. And what sucks was that he was never playing there. What you doing? His little car went down the couch. That's hilarious. He was like, Sage, calm down, buddy. Yeah, he was a really good natural safety, and at LSU was never playing there, and that's what sucks. Is like the dude barely played there, and how are we going to find out if a dude's good at his position if he's not even playing there? I mean, Sage Ryan is the most extreme example of that, and it felt like Ryan Yates, Jordan Allen, some of these guys have kind of fallen into that place where they're versatile, and maybe their versatility is being used against them. There's a reason we put Ryan on our transfer watch list. We once put Sage Ryan on the transfer watch list, and guess what? Sage Ryan transferred. Luckily, he changed his mind. But I'm just saying, like, if you're not subscribed to LSU Odyssey at this point, get subscribed. You just saw the proof of it. You just saw the date. Like, let's be honest here. When you look at our transfer watch list pieces over the last, I don't know, 2 years, I think we've nailed about 95%, 94% of the picks. It's been pretty well close, and that's because we've got a good reading of the roster, and we try and put the work into that by getting to know the kids. You're not getting to know who or what is on that roster, what they can do, who is there, until you really study the roster. But then from there, actually get to know the people on the roster. Cole Adams says, I hated that so many media pawns, I don't know what pawn, P-O-N-S, I don't know what that means, were saying it was lack of defensive talent last year. I know, lack of defensive talent, lack of defensive talent. It's like, you can say that about a few spots. You can't say it about linebacker. You can't say it about certain spots at DB. We're just not playing the right people. You can say that about the depth at defensive tackle or whatever, but at the end of the day, we had Mason Smith, All-American Mekhi Wingo next to him, and we could not keep those guys on the field together for more than a few games because right when Mason started to hit like kind of a little bit of a stride of like playing a few consecutive games together, Mekhi goes down for the bulk of the season until the Wisconsin game. And we saw them basically play 8 amazing snaps together in that Wisconsin game. And it is what it is. It sucks that those guys left. It really sucks that those guys left because now LSU have had to make a lot of decisions and go into the portal like crazy and try and figure this thing out. And I don't know. I do not want LSU to rush this process because the fans want guys in there or whoever. We got to get guys in here. Like, we cannot rush this process. We need the best defensive tackles in there. We can't just go around and get a bunch of bodies. If we went and got a bunch of bodies to go and replace guys like Ryan Yates on the roster, what the hell are we doing? I mean, I'm sorry, but Austin Osbury staying on the roster over Ryan Yates is just fucked up. Like, let's just say it. That's just fucked up. And I'm glad that Louis Cepeda pointed that out because that went right over my head. I didn't even think about that. Because when things like this happen, the first thing that doesn't come to my head is like, hey, he's got something that this guy doesn't have. Like, hey, damn you. I'm not like that. When you look at this situation, though, and you're going, okay, we're making decisions of who is better here, who deserves to be here more. Austin Osbury didn't choose LSU. He chose Auburn first. Whoever his daddy is. And I don't care if this gets me in trouble or gets people mad at me and people get offended. I don't care. Because you know the truth too. Ryan Yates is a better player than Austin Osbury. I don't care how well Austin Osbury might play this year, even if he plays. Like he could be an All-American. It's like I still feel like if you put Ryan Yates in that position, Ryan Yates could probably do the same thing. Because I feel Ryan Yates is a better football player. But that All-American stuff did not happen either. That is, Louis Cepeda pointed that out, and that is just, that is now really getting to me. That is now really annoying. Why is my phone exploding? What's going on? Where's my phone? What the hell is going on here? One sec. That might be somebody I've been waiting for. Louis Cepeda says, do you think McBride or Kylan Jackson will start at some point this year? They're going to have to. We've put ourselves in a position where they're going to have to. And I'm guessing from their ultimate confidence in Kylan Jackson that Kylan's going to be that dude. And I hope he is. My God, I hope he is, because I'm an LSU fan. I love LSU. I want to see the return of DBU. But, man, if you're going to get rid of guys like, Ryan Yates, who chose LSU, he didn't choose Auburn out of the gates like some people. You're going to get rid of some of these dudes. You better have an answer. And I'm not going to say anything like, oh, my God, all these other guys like who transferred. We should not have done this. LSU needed to make cuts. I knew it was going to happen. I was well aware that certain guys were going to go, even no matter whether we liked it or not. And frankly, there was a few of them who deserved to go. A few guys who were just kind of riding on that scholarship and didn't really contribute anything to the team and did not want to get better. The number one guy on that list who does not fall in under any of that and who deserves to stay and deserves to play over some of the names we've mentioned, that's Ryan Yates. You cannot go wrong with a lot of the Texas Tigers. I think those are the only guys who can really match that Louisiana attitude and intensity. You know what I'm saying? Like, through history, who were the guys who have continuously been able to be, to stay in the same league as some of the Louisiana guys and make their name like the Louisiana guys. It's always been guys from Texas, Georgia, Florida, a few of them, but mostly from Texas and Louisiana. And that's just the way it's been. And so it is very strange, to see Ryan Yates gone. And I knew when I saw that we were going to, bring in Austin Osbury. You know why we're doing it. And we're approaching that scholarship limit. In the back of my mind, I thought, what? If we have to get rid of somebody good and a family I like because of this type of a decision, I'm going to be pissed as hell. And sure enough, thank you to Louis Cepeda. Because of them, it's just Chris Melder says, "Is Osbury really that bad?" I don't know. Did he play a lot at Auburn? No. Was he even given a look at in Auburn? No. So maybe that answers the question. But also, the dude chose Auburn over LSU. His dad is in the athletic department at LSU. Why wouldn't he have just chosen LSU from the beginning? Because this is some type of I'm going to go on my different path type of thing. Well, now just because things aren't working out at Auburn, we give him a scholarship. And I know it's politics, and you got to who cares? Osbury put this university at risk with the whole Sharon Lewis thing. And yeah, you can say, oh, Sharon Lewis was lying about everything. I don't think she was lying about every single little thing to the point where everyone's behavior was completely the opposite of what she said. We know Verge Osbury was out of line with a bunch of the things. He even admitted it. He was punished for it. Slap on the wrist. And I have no problem with Verge Osbury. But I'm going to be damned if people are going to tell me, hey, Lon, what you're doing with your media coverage sometimes makes LSU look bad. And then people like that, who are the flag flyers, do that and literally put LSU in the crosshairs of Title IX investigations. I'm going to be damned if I listen to that type of shit. So that's really where I stand on that whole thing. And so with Osbury's son, it's obvious nepotism, and Ryan Yates loses because of it. And I hope he literally goes somewhere and just goes and wins the Thorpe Award, because he's damn good, and I just want to see him succeed. Great kid. So the one person on this transfer list I really hate to see leave over all of them. Quez says Sage is mid. A lot of people say that except for his coaches. Notice that? Ever notice how the fans who don't really know what they're even watching? Because I bet Quez, let me ask you a quiz. A quiz for Quez. I guarantee you blamed Sage Ryan on that long Xavier Thomas touchdown in the spring game, didn't you? Right? You think Sage Ryan sucks because of that touchdown, right? Answer me, buddy. You think Sage Ryan sucks, and that makes sense to you once again because of that spring game bomb over his head, right? Let me show you the actual proof of who was covering. Xavier Thomas, since you're incapable of understanding football and actually paying attention to detail and actually knowing what you're seeing before spouting your mouth off and commenting on other kids and how well or good they are at a game that you will never be able to have the talent to play and never did, um, you know, you're an expert. So I've just got to show you. Let's show you, buddy. Wow. I even found another play where a corner gets absolutely destroyed, eaten alive by Kyron Lacey. And once again, Sage Ryan's fault. Sage Ryan was okay, guys. You're kind of being ridiculous. Sage Ryan was horrible last year to be a seasoned player. What are you even talking about? We'll continue this debate in 1 second. I will be right back. I'm not here to say Sage Ryan was the best, you know, DB LSU's ever seen last year. No one on LSU's defense was anywhere close to any good sense of whatever, you know? We were just we were never gonna be put in a situation to succeed by the coaches. And when that happens in football, you just simply cannot succeed. You will not succeed, no matter how good you are. You could be Aaron Donald, you could be Dominic Sue, whoever, LT. And without that Belichick scheme, maybe you're screwed. Maybe you're not as effective. You know what I'm saying? And so here's the thing. Sage Ryan needs to react quicker. Sage Ryan needs to be more dialed in coverage. Sage Ryan needs to simply attack the ball like he has in spring. If you guys have been able to have access to the spring practices and the footage that we have been able to see, I think you'd have a different viewpoint on this. Because what I've seen is someone who first comes in there and, okay, now you're going to play me at free safety, my position. Okay, this is exciting. He kind of goes in there a little tepid, kind of just like doesn't want to make too many mistakes, kind of wants to get the lay of the land. And then suddenly, one practice, he just goes off. Starts getting interceptions, starts forcing fumbles, poking the ball out, jarring the ball loose, recovering well. Even if he gets beaten over the top, he'd recover with that speed. What we saw in the spring game on the Lacey pass, the Xavier Thomas pass, are plays where Sage Ryan is supposed to be that safety help, possibly. But every time it is someone else's man and they get cooked, Ashton Stamps on one, Jordan Gilbert on another, and they get cooked, and Sage Ryan is having to cover a massive distance because they were lost in between whether it was cover 2 or cover 3, which is a big difference. That could literally entail that Sage Ryan should have been on the other side of the field. I'm not saying he is free of blame here. In fact, I can ask Sage himself what happened on that play, and he'll tell me, oh, I screwed up because I did this. I did. That kid takes accountability. And we've seen him get better at his game. We've seen him rise in his game. You see the coaches absolutely trust and rely and respect his game. So whether you've seen it doesn't really matter or not, because you don't make the decision, so it doesn't matter. But your opinion should be respected, because here in a few things, Sage Ryan was our best defensive back last year outside of Zy Alexander. That's just the truth. And I know we want to blame him for every pass that gets caught. Oh, he allowed that 15-yard catch. Of course he's going to allow a 15-yard catch. Matt House is having them line up 15 to 20 yards off the ball, off the man. Like, duh, this is going to happen. We're lucky he was making the tackles after the catch. I know he missed that big one tackle that everyone remembers. He missed that one tackle where he tried to get him up high and tried to strip the ball, and it looked bad. I understand. But when you go back and actually watch the games, which I doubt that the anti-Sage Ryan guys actually have, because I do this every year, every offseason. We always go back through and watch the entire season over just to see if we've missed anything. You know, hey, we have this thought and this thought. We think that this guy is this type of player. Oh, this guy, he is not good enough. You know, sometimes when you go back and you watch those full games again, you go, wow, holy crap, I had that wrong. He's not the dude who was, you know, it wasn't his responsibility. It was this guy's responsibility. Assignment football, sometimes it's very difficult to understand, especially with coverages. You could have a guy on the dude on the line, but if you're not paying attention and you just see the touchdown later and see that it was this guy or this guy, oh, that guy was on him at the line. Sometimes you don't see that they're going, and they are absolutely interchanging responsibilities. They're passing off responsibilities during the route. You know, zone coverages can be very strange with stuff like that. And that's another reason why we sucked last year defensively, because they were trying to play a stupid zone coverage that is just, we should have just gone to man. Should have just gone to man. But really, it's about Sage Ryan has got to attack. He has got to be as aggressive as possible. And then when it comes to tackling, trust the speed. Don't be so aggressive in the tackle, and just stay locked in. Don't get too distracted. Don't try and make the flashy play. Get him to the ground. And I think we've seen that. I think we've seen that from Sage Ryan throughout spring. We've seen fantastic plays. We've seen turnovers. We've seen a pick six, 3 interceptions in a single practice against your starting quarterback. One of the best quarterbacks on the Heisman watch list. That says a lot. It doesn't say he's going to be completely free of mistakes, but I think when you're going to see him at his natural position of free safety, I think you're going to see the best Sage Ryan we've seen yet. And I think you can only blame Coach Ed Orgeron and Matt House for some of this lack of development, because, frankly, Sage Ryan should have been playing safety, or at the very most, nickel, and that's it. We've seen him play safety, corner, nickel, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Multiple different defensive staffs, now onto his third defensive staff, but luckily, some of these guys are familiar. I just think the fans sometimes don't understand coverages and kind of just move very quickly. And I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm not saying you guys are dumb or fans don't understand. Fans don't understand what us experts know. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm simply saying, do you, as the regular fan, the common fan, common diehard LSU fan, do you go back and watch these regular season games multiple times like I do? Be honest. Do you, or are you just like, okay, I might go back and watch the highlights or this or that? Do you go back and watch the full games over and over and over? If you do, and you still have that opinion, okay. But I feel like Sage Ryan, grossly underrated. I think there's some big steps he needs to make. And there's times that even I'm not filled with too much confidence, because I know how good he can be. And I know how many obstacles he's had in his way as well. So, we're now to that place where there's no more obstacles. We're now to that spot where he can just kind of focus and play. And so there is no more excuses from here on out. So, I mean, that is one thing that I can point into your direction and say, like, yeah, you are right on that. There are no more excuses. He is now playing in that position. He is now getting that freedom, that trust, and he is being relied upon. And he is starting to make big plays. So Sage Ryan has to deliver this season. That's just the facts. And he's running out of time too. And that Sage is one of the coolest kids in the world. Like we got to get him to get to the top here. He always should have been at LSU. He always should have been a top player. Sadly, we haven't seen it because, a lot of circumstances that were out of his control and then a couple that were in his control. But to say that the guy who led the team in turnovers created in 2022 with created 5 turnovers, 2 fumble recoveries in 1 game, 2 forced fumbles, including 1 against Alabama, and then creates a pick 6 with a pass breakup that goes up into the air. The second defensive touchdown of the season and the only pick 6. Frank Wilson, the 4th, intercepted that and ran it back 99 yards in the last seconds of the Purdue game. Sage Ryan led the team in turnovers created while only playing half of the snaps. And then in 2023, you saw him played at corner, at nickel, out of position again. He led the team. I'm sorry, he not led the team. He was tied with Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo at 4.5 tackles for loss from the corner position. I understand DTs aren't supposed to rack up TFLs, okay? But those are 2 of the best penetrating defensive tackles in college football last year. Like, they didn't play like it. Mekhi was hurt, or he was playing well, or he didn't have help. And then Mason Smith didn't really play up to it because he wasn't to that fitness level yet. And they only had 4.5 TFLs, the same amount as Sage Ryan. He was making plays behind the backfield. Only 2 guys had more pass breakups than him, Zy Alexander and Braden Swinson. Edgeman had 5 as well. And some of those pass breakups weren't even counted that should have been. So I can count at least 2, maybe 3 that were not counted that should have been. And that's because we chart these plays unofficially. Like, we chart these plays ourselves, and then we see what the stats are, and we can kind of compare and contrast, and we can see they didn't count it because of this or that reason. And so we can kind of get a glimpse of how they take the stats too. It's pretty cool. But yes, transfers in, transfers out. That's what we're talking about. And we just talked about all the transfers out. We highlighted our article that is right there in the top of the description of this video of Tigers who've left the roster. A lot of great kids, but a lot of kids who ran into roster depth issues that LSU couldn't overcome, some tough decisions LSU had to make, or guys who really, it wasn't much of a tough decision. LSU needed to get their scholarship to someone else. You know what I'm saying? And this type of stuff is so awkward to talk about sometimes. And it's so tough. But hey, the kids need to realize this. As soon as they can realize this, the better. It is a business. They cannot take it personally, and they need to just take it on the chin and continue and just work even harder than before. Want it even more than before. Prove LSU wrong for letting you go. You know what I'm saying? Let this drive you. If you're someone who is watching this and LSU have processed you, or LSU, made you feel like you needed to transfer, let me just tell you that LSU, LSU might suffer from losing some of these guys. I don't think that'll happen with the majority of them, but a guy like Ryan Yates, you just don't want to see him. Especially when you want to keep, that depth there. He says, not anti-Sage Ryan, just pro-Yates. Cole Adams says, I know it's a spring game, and I didn't blame Sage on the touchdown, but his angle on Caleb's touchdown run has to be better from a 4-year guy. That's not it's not a cheap low blow. That's not a just a ripping on a guy type of shot. That's a honest to God. Here's where you can improve. And you're right. He did take a bad angle on that. He could have been there. And you know what I love about Sage Ryan? It's he is always the first to admit his mistakes. I've known some great players, guys who are playing in the NFL right now, who maybe this will catch up to them at some point, but they can never admit a mistake. They can never admit that they were wrong. They can never admit that they could have played harder, that they took a bad angle. Sage Ryan, I mean, he's defiant when he knows he didn't screw up, but he's also like, whoa, I have to get better at that. That was on me. There's times where he's corrected me and said, Lon, you don't understand. Like, the coverage on that was this. I was the one who was screwed up. That's why there's times when we get kind of defensive with Sage Ryan, people's criticism, it's because we actually know who the assignment was on. Not just because we can see it with our eyes on the field, but because we actually go and ask. We don't just go, yep, this kid's fault. Because sometimes when you ask that question of whose fault it was, basically on the coverages, and a lot of these players are just never going to answer that question. They don't want to dare throw a teammate under the bus, But usually you're surprised, even if you think you know football like crazy. You're like, what? That was the dude who was in. Oh, okay, interesting. That's why you ask those questions. You don't make these stupid assumptions. You don't talk about these kids in all these different ways without knowing what the hell you're talking about. And we've seen a lot of that lately. There's been some disturbing stuff. I mean, Barrett Alexander's got to be pissed. How many times have they said he's going to transfer and he doesn't? It's like, man. Now watch, I guarantee he's going to hit the portal any minute now. The situation's very fluid situation. Almost more fluid than Michael Stipe's gender. What was I going to say? Shit. We are going to go live again tonight. Hopefully we can get some of these guests we're working on. Hopefully we can get some of them to come on the show. That would be epic. Hopefully I can find my phone. I think I left it on the couch while I was doing this. And I think Sage has literally thrown it somewhere. I could hear it going off, and I could hear it going off like crazy. And usually that means something big is going on. Like my phone. There's only a couple reasons why my phone's going to be going off like crazy. It's because something's going on at LSU. Someone's trying to reach out to me. Chelsea's hitting me up like, hey, what do we want for dinner? Do you need anything from the store? Or, hey, can you do this for me at home? Or, hey, can you get this on your way home? Or whatever it is. but it's often always LSU. So it's either the wrath of Chelsea or it's LSU. I'm not meaning like LSU themselves, like Brian Kelly's like, hey, Lon, someone's leaving. You know what sucks about losing your phone is that you lose the light. Buddy, what did you do with it? I heard it earlier. Did you just shove the phone somewhere, stupid? Oh, well, we're going to have to put him down in a second here anyway, and we were going to re-up this later. We're going to come up with an official time in a second here, and we will post it on our Twitter. By the way, if you are not following our Twitter and you are, hey, Lon, how come you didn't follow this? How come you're not covering this thing? Chances are we did, and you're just missing out on it because you're not following our Twitter. We're not doing Facebook anymore. Mark Zuckerberg has canceled our handle, our .com, LSUODYSSEY.com cannot be posted on Facebook or Instagram. So what we've done is we've been kind of clever and come up with a way to get around that. Our man Double O made us a edit with a QR code that goes straight to the site. And so we're trying to do something a little there on those, but really the main place always Twitter. Go to it's, and I'm telling you this right now too. If you ever 99% of the questions people ask me, the answers to those questions, not that I don't love talking to you. I love talking to you. Keep asking those questions. But 99% of the answers to those questions are on LSUODYSSEY.com. They're there. It's not salesmanship. I don't have to sell anything. I can prove this to you. There's times that people are, hey, what is this guy going to leave? Is this guy going to go here? Blah, blah, blah. Is he going to do this? It's right there on LSUODYSSEY.com every time. Not saying we know everything. I'm just saying if we do, it's going to be there. Cole Adams said, Sage should have been left at safety and punt returning. I agree. Cole Adams says, Lon, who is going to be the guy that sets the back end of the defense like Gray Brooks III did last year? We saw what happened when he went out. He was the only dude against Florida State who played with anything resembling LSU football. For me, it's going to be Jordan Gilbert. And I hope Sage Ryan. I really hope Sage Ryan, but I think he's going to be more of that subtle guy that people might criticize game to game, might rip on game to game, but he's ultimately going to prove all those guys wrong. I think the guy who's going to really show out wire to wire is going to be Jordan Gilbert. I think Jordan Gilbert is going to he's going to blow some people's faces up. Just my opinion. But everybody, check us out later on tonight. Go to LSUODYSSEY.com and subscribe there, because either you can subscribe for free and just get the notifications of our articles, or you can subscribe $3.50 a month or $10 a year for maximum live coverage. I mean, what did LSU subscribers get 4 days ago? They got all those names. They got all those names of the guys who are going to be transferring. And look what has happened. Almost every single one of them have gone. So, I mean, not saying we're Nostradamus, but damn it, we're close. Just kidding. Just messing with you guys. But yeah, we're going to be doing this later as well. So we have to put the Sagey down, sadly, or else I could keep going with this. But we'll be talking to you in a few hours, guys, because there's going to be more news coming then. You're going to want to watch that one, because that's why I'm trying to find my phone as well. There's some stuff developing that is surprised even me. So